Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Undisputed Heavyweight Champion of the World show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is The Fan Show. Happy Wednesday to you all. It is the last day of the month and the second episode of the week, but we look back at January, the first month of 2018, the month that was. How has the bar been set for the rest of the year? I think it's been set pretty good, if you ask me. There was the State of the Union address last night, which I don't watch because politics is, it's not over my head. Politics is simply just unnecessary in my life right now because it is turning some people crazy. It is. That's why I love sports. Nonsense. Entertainment, football, all that good stuff. So, you can have your State of the Union address. That's fine. I'm not, doesn't make me upset or anything like that. You do you, and I am going to do me here. And which brings us to, of course, the portion of the show, which we have the headlines. And the headlines are that tomorrow we start the second month of the year, February, and I do want to take a quick moment to thank each and every one of you out there in Fan Nation who listen to me each and every week, whether or not you catch all 3 episodes or maybe just one, whatever the case is. January, and it's not even officially over yet because we still have this episode and everyone who listens to it before midnight tonight. But January is now the undisputed best month ever in the history of listenership for The Fan Show. Give it up for yourselves. That's right. We had the best month ever, I believe, was June of last year, and that was because it was the IFL playoffs, and we were getting, it was the final part of the season, then we had the postseason, the playoffs, and then the 1st of July, we had the championship game, the United Bowl, and I was wrapping up the tour. I had just done my last stop in Green Bay. I was getting ready to go to the championship myself, so there was a lot going on in June. So much so that I figured it was going to be a big month. And in the almost 3 years that we've done the show, I looked at the numbers, and it really took off. It really did well in June, and I was very happy about that. And then I said, well, what's going to happen now? August, things kind of, July, I took a few days off because of the 4th, and it kind of settled back down. And then from there, I pretty much spent the rest of my time building back up. Now, the worst month on record ever for the Fan Show was November of 2 years ago. And that was when I had seriously considered what I was doing, if what I was doing was going to amount to anything. Because here, football season had started. This should be my time. And it wasn't. From September to November, the show had dipped considerably month after month, and that's just because the market was so oversaturated. Everyone and their mom doing their own podcast, from wherever, a studio, their basement, college campus. So I had to figure out a way to make mine different, and a lot of what makes me different from the others is that I keep doing it. I won't quit, and I just keep pushing and trying to constantly make myself the best that I can be on the mic 3 nights a week. So, thank you. I mean, really, I do mean that. I do appreciate it. So November came and went. The show started building back up again, slowly but surely. Like, we didn't have big jumps in numbers. And then it was at its highest as far as back-to-back months during the spring and summer when the IFL had started and tapped into that market. And then finally, June, it was at its peak. Best month we've ever had on the show. Went back down, and then November this year was not the worst. In fact, we had started building back up again. December was a low month. And actually, I take that back. November was a lower month again because of the simple fact that there was the holidays and everything. And then December, you had Christmas time. But now January, where I haven't done any touring yet. That starts next month. I haven't had really any huge big-name celebrity guests like I did a year ago with the guys from Super Troopers. And there hasn't really been any big events or anything that I've gone to, with the exception of a few that I wouldn't say have been the difference maker, but I've been persistent and I have continued to get the best lineup of guests that I can and present to you guys the best quality hour programming 3 nights a week right here on Spreaker.com or thefanshow.com. And with that, January is now the best month that I have ever had. So thank you again so much, Fan Nation. It really means a lot, truly. I can't thank you enough. In a few weeks, we'll find out if the Fan Show receives the Best Media Award for Spokane Entrepreneurs for the Entrepreneurship Awards. That is the hardest word to say, and I want to be proud of it, but I can't say the damn thing. So maybe this time next month you'll be listening to the award-winning Fan Show. But until then, we got another hour for you, about 55 minutes left. I have not one but two special guests tonight, including Philadelphia's own Colleen Wolfe, straight from Minneapolis and the NFL Network. She was able to take a few minutes out of her incredibly busy schedule, and trust me, I've seen some of these guys' schedule because they share them with me. It is busy. It is nonstop. So can't thank her enough for taking the time, but I wanted to talk to someone from the city, get their perspective on what we can expect, win, lose, or draw. But before that, we'll have Brandon from Team Fan Show on. He's a big WWE and XFL fan as well, so he wanted to give his thoughts on what we can expect. So we'll talk one more time a little bit more about that. In other breaking news, now, I heard a rumor, it hasn't been confirmed or official yet, that the West Michigan Ironmen and the Bloomington Edge lost the injunction against the CIF as far as the legal binding agreements that they signed before they made the switch to the IFL, which, once again, unofficial. I don't trust these sources because these are the same sources that run pretty much the rumor mill and the gossip wire, and they do a lot of talking, and they'll do a lot of saying stuff as sarcasm and jokes and whatever. So until you hear it from me, I wouldn't say that there's a whole lot of weight to it, and that I'm confident in standing behind that statement. It's not a matter of me tooting my own horn. It's who I know and who I talk to, and the truth is that I've reached a point where people choose to come to me with their information because they know that, one, I'm not going to leak it, and two, they're going to get the truth out there, and it's not going to get twisted, and it's going to be, the more optimistic side of things instead of being so negative. So until you hear it from me, take it for what you feel it's worth, and I don't feel like what I've heard and what I've saw is worth a whole lot. But regardless, the CIF really is kind of the bully in this situation now, because if these teams can't play, it's a no-win. Like the CIF, if they win, what did they win? I have yet to hear anything about any kind of settlement or money or anything like that. It's just teams that, well, if we can't have them, you can't either. And so those players and coaches, once again, like I said, would be out of the job and out of and to the wind. And with less than a month to go before the season starts, it's not a good look. And probably the biggest breaking news of all came out late last night after the show had concluded and everything. I was settled in. I was watching Raw because I didn't get a chance to see it live Monday night. I was doing inventory for a friend of mine at Just Sports, and then was settled in watching, and then I got the notification on my phone. Alex Smith traded from the Chiefs to the Washington Redskins, and they got Fuller, and they'll get, I think, a third-round pick from the Redskins as well, possibly. But it's the craziest thing. So many people are on this Mahomes wagon right now. I don't see it, and I know that I'm an Alex Smith fan, yeah, but the guy, when you give him the chance, when you give him consistency and the opportunity to stretch the field, he's a friggin' Pro Bowl quarterback, back-to-back years, and we're not talking about an alternate. And he is one of 3 nominees, the other 2 being named Carson Wentz, who was an MVP candidate, mind you, and the other Tom Brady. So he's one of 3 guys, Wentz and Brady being the others, nominated for the FedEx Aaron Brown Player of the Year. And this guy just got traded. Oh, wow. Just unreal. Absolutely unreal. And people are saying that he's trash, that he's a game manager, that he's the one that lost him the game against the Titans. Yeah, except for the offense didn't let the Titans come back from being down 17 points. And definitely, the offense sure as hell isn't calling their own plays out there when they needed to make the plays the most. So he's probably the single most to not blame. Like, he should be as far from the blame game as possible for that one. But hey, whatever helps you sleep at night. Kirk Cousins, obviously, his time has come to an end as a result in Washington, D.C. Where will he go? I believe he will be in Arizona. Some people are saying that Cleveland is a popular destination. I don't think Cleveland's a popular destination. I don't care who you are, but Cleveland does not scream popular destination whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know who you are or whatever, but let's see here. The Los Angeles Rams will host the Kansas City Chiefs at the Azteca Stadium for the Mexico City game in 2018. Whoop-de-doo. I really don't care too much about that. Let's see here. Don't forget that the 2 Bills, Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells, the 30 for 30 airs tomorrow. Philadelphia head coach Doug Peterson, who backed up Brett Favre for a decade, has arranged for Favre to address the Eagles on Saturday morning. How about that? That's a motivational speaker right there. If there's somebody that knows how to win, it's that guy. They have the official Super Bowl 52 programs out. NFL reached an agreement with Fox Sports to broadcast the next 5 seasons of Thursday Night Football. Whoop-de-doo. It'll be $660 million per year. Alex Smith is the first QB to lead the NFL in touchdown to interception ratio, 25 TDs, 5 interceptions, a 5.2 ratio in one season, and then change teams the following season. So again, really, Kansas City? Good luck with Mahomes. I don't think you'll make the playoffs next year. If you do, you'll be one and done because you still have Andy Reid as your head coach. Redskins, however, jackpot, man. That's how I see it. So I see Kirk Cousins going over to, the Cardinals. Some people say Cleveland. Oh, it's just such a bad fit. I don't like it. And whatever. Andy Reid has no problem trading QBs to Washington. He traded QB Donovan McNabb and now Alex Smith. I love it so much. Okay, so yeah, that pretty much does it for the breaking news. Now we can go ahead and recap what has officially been round 2 of the Super Bowl of all things rock and roll. And yes, round 3 voting was supposed to start, but I got caught up because an interview that I did had to happen earlier than expected. So let's go over the round 2 results. Round 3 voting will commence immediately following this broadcast. But round 2, in the rock category, Metallica defeats Avenged Sevenfold. So the number 1 seed in the rock category continues to dominate. They did represent rock last year in the Final Four, and they went head-to-head with last year's champion Rush in the championship. And so they won 78% of the votes. Number 4 seed Foo Fighters took down Rage Against the Machine, 60-40. That was a rather close one. Pearl Jam takes down Fozzy. Unfortunately, Fozzy and Chris Jericho did not get involved this time, and it showed. 83% of the vote went to Pearl Jam. Holy crap. Fozzy was going to need all the help they could get, and they did not get it. So the Cinderella story, or so we thought, comes to a quick end in round 2. Then the last one in the rock category, Linkin Park falls to Nirvana 56-44, so not even sympathy votes for Chester in this round 2. The classic rock category, we will have, or I don't know if we'll have a new champion because three of the 4 champions of the Super Bowl of all things rock and roll remain. The fourth one, which was last year's, Rush, upset by Def Leppard. They were an 8th seed, 54% to 46%. So we will have a new one in regards to Rush will not repeat, but we still could have a champion collect another one to their already awesome resume, being Queen, the Foo Fighters, or Blink-182. And then the next one was Aerosmith versus Queen. Queen was a 4 seed. This was a 4-5 matchup. Queen, 63% of the votes. Guns N' Roses and AC/DC. This one came down to the final minutes, and I watched this thing closely, and it changed from one band to the other in the span of 20 minutes. Thank you, Fan Nation, for voting. AC/DC is your winner. They will move on. They are a 3 seed, so this would have been quite the upset as well. 51% of the vote. You don't get much closer than that. Led Zeppelin takes down Journey 64-36%. And then in the punk rock or pop punk category, Green Day over Newfound Glory. Of course, Green Day representing this category in last year's Final Four, 88% of the vote. My goodness. The next one was the Ramones against the Offspring, another very close vote. Offspring takes it 54% of the vote. Sum 41 and Fall Out Boy. Fall Out Boy takes this one as a 3 seed, 60% of the vote. And then Blink-182 over Social Distortion. I thought maybe Social D would have a little bit more with this, but apparently not. Blink-182, who has yet to get less than 85% of the votes, take this one with 89. Holy crap. Alternative rock, number 1 seed and alternative rock representative of last year's Final Four, Weezer takes down Panic at the Disco 63%. This one was a lot closer in the beginning, and then Weezer picked up some steam there late. Then we have another 4 and 5 matchup. My Chemical Romance falls just short of Jimmy Eat World, so it was not an upset. The 4 seed takes it. Jimmy Eat World, 51% of the vote. The Killers and Oasis. I thought this would be a lot closer, and it was not. The Killers, a 6 seed, upset number 3 Oasis with 62% of the vote. That one is crazy to me. And then finally, the last one is Sublime and the White Stripes. Sublime, the number 2 seed from this particular category. They get the edge over the White Stripes, 62% to 38%. So again, I will have those round 3 matchups. That voting will start immediately after tonight's broadcast. Very excited. The Sexy 16 is what we call them around here. And this is where friendships are made and broken. So with that, we're going to go to a commercial break. I'll get my guest, Brandon Raper, on the phone, and we will talk some more football and nonsense after this.
This is The Sheet.
Gets me all revved up. My face is now red. My ears are just freaking boiling.
He's so raw that Sky hates him.
Yeah, he had 51 touchdowns. 4,900 total yards.
I know y'all like that, but I got to run. And only in Alabama that could happen, I have to say.
They're so good, man. They would win the Big Ten if they were in the Big Ten. You could be doing something vision-based in front of you and reach down and grab a handful of insane goodness.
Give it to him. Kudos. I'm clapping like a golfer. Very good, Johnny. I'm proud of you.
Wow. You guys agree on something again? I'm very impressed. You ever had a bad week? You know, just you walk outside, step in a puddle, like right when you walk outside. I mean, how's there a puddle right outside the house? Or you stand on the curb and somebody drives by and splashes water up on you? Or it's just raining on you, not anyone else?
I will tell you, before you go any further, I cannot hear Chad when he speaks. Good.
Here, listen to the sheet, man. I don't really know what we're doing.
Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on WBLZ Sports.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve all your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call, no matter the size of the job, at 740-438-7173. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
This is Nick Ciccarelli, the mad scientist of sports. Join me and Dr. D, Derek Jones, live every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the Mad Scientist Sports Lab. The big intellects, the experiments on the chalkboard, and the guest subjects will be rolling in. Mad Scientist Sports Lab, only on WBLZ Sports, where we got balls.
Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial or residential. Doug Peffer covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? We'll call on Doug. Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361.
Check out Thursday Night Tailgate, where NFL legends live on. We bring you 5 NFL legends every week, sharing their stories and insights, plus our spotlight on the positive. Hear which players are doing great things in their communities. Now on WBLZ Sports Talk Radio and WBLZSports.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and joining me, one of the better members of Team Fan Show, is Brandon Raper. He is one of our resident experts in fantasy, and now apparently the XFL. What's going on, Brandon? How you doing?
I'm good. How's it going?
Doing well, doing well. This has been one of my favorite topics of conversation. We've brought it up a few times since its big announcement last week, but I guess the big question is, we're looking back, and this is the way society has been lately, is cashing in on nostalgia has been a huge thing. I mean, everywhere you look, they're reviving all of these TV shows, they're remaking all these movies, and nostalgia is like a cash cow. So here we have the XFL, and we're excited about it, especially the people that liked its first go-round. But then Vince makes the announcement that this will not be like last time. No gimmicks, not even any cheerleaders. It's football the way that we want it. But is that what people want?
I think it is what people want. So as far as gimmicks go, I get it. Getting rid of the coin toss, hilarious at first, but what in the world, what's happening? Even especially as far as safety goes, if you've got two 260-pound men sprinting at each other. People are fast now. They're huge. It's a little different than back then. So I get that. Cheerleaders, I don't think are a gimmick. So that one was a little weird to me that was specifically called out. But I think you look at what we have currently as far as football goes, and you look at what we had in the past as far as football goes. We have the NFL that kind of sets the guidelines for these are the rules of the game. Everyone loves it. This is what you watch every year at a specific time of the year. You have college football, which has actually been taking off pretty well lately and will always have a solid base of people based on who went to the colleges and whatever. And then you get into the leagues that tried things a little differently. So you have arena football, you have CFL, that kind of indoor football, all of those options. They're drastically different than what people watch on Sunday afternoons. And to me, that's why it hasn't taken off as much as something that we love to watch. We love arena football, but it's way different. Not to say that the talent isn't there, because some of the most talented people ever play there. But man, those rules are so drastically different. It's almost impossible to call football. So I think getting rid of the gimmicks is technically the only way that it has a chance of succeeding.
Okay, so let's break down a few different things here then. The cheerleaders thing, I'm still confused by. You're right. I don't agree that they were a gimmick, but part of me wonders how much of what we're seeing as far as the WWE product now is bleeding into Vince McMahon's idea of what people want from football. Because, I had the ladies of Hell's Bells on last week, an all-women tribute AC/DC band, and I said, in all honesty, I don't think there's a better time to be a woman than right now with everything that's been going on. Now, of course, there's the whole Me Too movement and all these other very negative lights being shed on that particular part of the world. But in everything else, Wonder Woman was huge at the box office. You're having a bigger spotlight on women in lead roles in pop culture. Ghostbusters remake was all women cast and things like that. So it's definitely a good time. The WWE, though, has changed drastically from what it was, where they had divas who were pretty much their cheerleaders, and now they have the women's division. So I don't know if they feel like having cheerleaders is going backwards for what they've done, but it also would raise the question, well, how much WWE will be in the XFL as far as what we see with the business model. So that one confuses me a little bit, but there may be a rhyme or reason to it. You don't even see valets anymore in wrestling as far as women escorting men down to the ring. Now, there's a few managerial type people out there, but I don't know if we'll ever see another valet, a woman escorting a wrestler to the ring like we've seen now that they've had their first Royal Rumble and soon to have their first Elimination Chamber match. So it's a changing of the times, and it's adapt or die. That part may change later, but he's been very, very much determined to have a faster paced game of football, which I'm surprised maybe he is, but I haven't heard that he's looking into the indoor game, because that is a faster pace. There's padded walls. It's probably a lot cheaper rent than a stadium is. Not that he would need any kind of breaks financially to get this thing to run, but the safety thing, the background of players not having criminal records, it just seems like this new product, granted 2 years to do what they're going to do, is being pulled in a lot of different directions. What's your gauge on it right now?
So my gauge is overall optimistic about the entire situation. So the main reason that I think it has a good chance of succeeding is that not only has he learned from his mistakes, but he's not trying to compete with the NFL, right? So this is at a totally different time in the year, pretty much right as the season ends for NFL, or right as you get into the Super Bowl game is when their season is supposed to start. So I think that in itself is a reason that it has a chance to succeed, and very similar to arena football too, is that from working in arena football marketing, that was kind of our big push was football isn't over. You can still watch it if you love the sport. So come and join us or whatnot. So not competing with NFL is incredibly important, because that makes TV deals, network deals, streaming online deals, those kind of things that make or break a league are going to be a lot easier to become a part of. I do like the idea that it is just football, right? So it is the regular rules, but they said less flags, quicker game, no halftime, smaller rosters, I believe, as well. So 40 instead of 52 for the NFL. So I think they have a lot of good things going for them. And I also am a firm believer that the USFL probably could have done well if they did things a little differently back in the 80s. Because, I remember reading in the USFL, they drafted people like Steve Young and Reggie White. They would have played in the USFL. That's actually insane. They would have been all-star caliber. So I think the major thing to get around is those TV deals, where they're going to show the games, because they have plenty of cities that they can play in. And they could even play in NFL cities, and it wouldn't skip a beat at all. And as far as talent goes, I don't think that is anything that will hold back the league at all. There are so many talented players out there that there's no way they'll run out of talent. Even people that are on practice squads will have the itch to play, and if they're paid as much maybe as the practice squad, then it's going to be hard to keep people on there. I know the practice squad makes a ridiculous amount of money, but it's going to be really, really tough for the NFL to keep players that aren't on all year rosters on their teams, I think.
So is it a safe assumption that the XFL name is literally just, a brand name that people are familiar with? Because it doesn't sound like his new XFL is going to be all that extreme. So is it just a name to have that people already are familiar with? Like, is that pretty much the reason that we saw him go out and make sure that he still owned all the trademarks and is bringing that back?
Yeah, and he actually even made a statement on that saying that they were in talks of changing the name, but so many people already knew it that it didn't require any new explanation. And I don't know, it's got a lot more people talking because you're like, oh, the XFL failed in whenever, so is it going to be good now? If you were to say the XFL failed in its beginning, but now it's the American Football League or whatever, I think it just loses a lot of that brand equity that some people, and I know people that actually still have like shirts and hats from those teams. I don't know why, but he hate me, most famous football player in the world because he played in the XFL. And that's another thing that I really like is, Vince pretty much kept everything open, even to the point of saying, if the fans want it, then the players can have nicknames on their jersey. Like, it's what they want. So, I don't know. I'm really, really optimistic because I think now is the best time to actually push for a new league. And I think the NFL has done a horrible job of just taking a stance on anything.
Yeah.
And keep finding themselves in these limbos of, should we do it? Should we not? Like the NBA, and I'm not too worried about the politics and everything. So the NBA doesn't allow you to kneel or anything during the anthem, but they walk their players through options of things that they can do to continue that conversation. And the NFL said the exact same thing, but allowed kneeling, which, to some people is just, whatever, they kneeled. Like it doesn't hurt anybody, but the demographic of the people that watch it the most, it offends. And any good business person will set those guidelines to not have that happen. So I don't think it's out of practice to do something like that since other major leagues do it. It's just leagues like the NBA don't make it a focal point. And I think that's why we've seen the NBA has done so well over the past couple of years. They've gained a lot of ground on the NFL.
Yeah, and for me, if I'm thinking of what would make this not even must watch, but just want to watch football, is that, okay, so you're not going to be competing directly with the NFL, that's fine, but you sure did take enough shots at what do the fans want, and listed a lot of the stuff that people have openly said they don't like about the NFL in your first press conference. So there's clearly some tension and some shade still there. But if you're going to do this in the spring and summer months, I understand the want to have gridiron football, but LA, Texas, Florida, it's just going to be too damn hot to have these things outside. So he needs to look at the option of tapping into the indoor game, because then he can have everything that he described that he wanted. He can eliminate the halftime if he wants. He can have a faster paced game. You and I, as fans of the indoor league, he was pretty much describing what is the indoor game in arenas. Not only that, but as I mentioned, the rent is going to be a lot cheaper, and you can not have to worry about competing with the summer events like summer concert tours that are going to be happening at these stadiums in the major cities that I know he'll want to go to. And it just alleviates a lot of stress. So for me, if I'm thinking cities that should have this, probably good sports markets as well as a big WWE following. So clearly Philadelphia, Chicago, Orlando, New Orleans, somewhere in Texas. We discussed maybe Oakland last night. Since they're losing football, they could just gain it right back.
And
then,
that'd be a good one.
And
Ohio.
Then, Ohio is another place. So there's plenty. I mean, if you're only doing 8 teams, it's easy to put teams in 8 cities where this works both ways. As far as broadcasting, he's had such a good relationship with USA Network. I don't see why they wouldn't have a TV deal there, but I would like to see an XFL network, because what he has done with that WWE network is so ingenious. I don't know how the NFL hasn't caught on to this idea. The fact that you would have to watch replays of games and pay ungodly amounts for this thing that you're only using for a portion of the year, where he has $9.99 gets you live broadcasts of pay-per-views and 24/7 access to everything that goes on 365 days out of the year. Like, it blows my mind that this has been as simple and successful as it has, and that other places haven't adapted. So I think that the network for something like this is a must with what he's already got. And then the players, the talent, I think that I don't know if they would have to choose between one or the other, but I do know that the NFL has gotten to a point where it's so 24/7, 365 now that their players are pretty much involved in something even during the off season. So it would be honestly some of the best headlines to read if you got some of these young bright stars having to it's decision day on whether or not they're going to play in the NFL or the XFL. So that's how I would work on making this thing what the fans want in the next 2 years, is go indoors, cities and sports markets that already have a want, a thirst for football and wrestling, and then basically build from there and simplify the game, which it sounds like that's one of his number one priorities. Like, make the NFL lose sleep over this, even if you're not competing with them heads up.
Right. That's kind of my thought. And I agree as far as media goes. So I think a network could be good. I don't know how a market would respond to it, because they would have to probably see the product before they establish that they would like to be a part of it. So kind of like the WWE network, they had decades before it kind of became a thing, even before technology became a thing. And people knew that they wanted to watch it, and they saw the price point of $50 a pay-per-view or $50 for 5 pay-per-views. So that sounds pretty sweet. Like, I remember being in 6th grade and it was $50 to watch a pay-per-view, and all my buddies would get together and pool money to watch it. So I think it's an interesting idea, and I would like to see it happen because I think they can provide a lot of good content through that, especially with players who aren't in the NFL. They have a lot of character. In an arena football, if you meet the players, I mean, those guys are passionate as hell, and they don't make a lot of money. So they're there for the game, and they love the game. They aren't the same people that are making $7 million a year and are whining about some ridiculous thing like a fan yelled at them. So they're like, it's insane. So I think the network is okay. I would even say something like connecting with YouTube for the first year. YouTube is seeing a lot of decline in their use. This could be something that would prop them up, or Facebook showing their games live. There's a lot of opportunities with these companies that want to get into video or that are failing with video that could really, really utilize these connections. And availability is key. If you can watch the game, you'll want to go to the game, and you'll sell merchandise, and you'll establish a brand. So, I think any of those ideas will work, and they have 2 years. So
a lot of
that's
people
kind of the key.
Are calling this GOP or right-wing football because of statements that he made regarding things like the anthem and politics and whatnot. Look, I get it. But at the same time, it's unnecessary to psychoanalyze something that specifically. Clearly, he's on the page of like, we want a product that isn't surrounded by controversy. And of course, it seems incredibly ironic coming from a guy who is the chairman and CEO of something like WWE. But if he's going to make this
bra and panties matches,
if he's going to make this thing something different, then more power to him. If you're Vince McMahon, what is your number one priority as far as first course of action in making this thing something that people can actually start to buy into?
It has to be media deals. There is no single more important thing than where this will be broadcasted and how. So, is it going to be on YouTube? Is it going to be on Facebook? Is it going to be NBC, USA? What is the availability for the normal person to watch this? It's key to their growth. It's key to people that are just want to test it out, because it's a brand new product. It's going to be a different game. So you're not going to want to automatically buy a season ticket or something just based on speculation of what the game is going to be. Like, I know how cricket's played. I don't go buy a network for it or anything. Horrible example. But, there's a lot of unknowns with it, and that has to be the very first thing that's taken care of. The players, the teams, all that will come with it. I don't think that's a problem of them finding a place to play or finding talent. And Vince was actually pretty quiet about politics and everything when he was talking about the XFL, just saying none of that's going to happen, no records, and he was really, really, really blunt about it. He was more excited about the league itself, the changes to the game, and getting started. So that media, it has to be figured out, and that's going to be the most difficult part on their end as well.
All right. Well, Brandon, I thank you so much for taking some time to help us break this down, probably for not the last time, but at least the last time for a while, since it's been a topic of a lot of conversation. But we got 2 years to dive into this thing, and so much more that can happen. But we do have the Super Bowl on Sunday. Do you have a pick? Are you interested? You going to watch?
I'm interested. I just don't want the Patriots to win. It could be anybody. I just don't care.
All right, man. Well, hopefully I will catch you at one point on the tour this season. Probably looks like Jacksonville. But other than that, though, I look forward to talking to you again, and any more writings of yours that you want to do, by all means, now that fantasy season's over. But we'll talk to you again soon, and you have a good rest of your night.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
That was Brandon Raper of Team Fan Show. A good buddy of mine, met him. He was doing media for the Bloomington Edge, who are in the IFL now, and he lives in Florida, so I'll probably catch him in Jacksonville. So with that, we've got one more commercial break, and then my talk with Colleen Wolfe, the sweetheart of Philly, about her Fly, Eagles, Fly. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of the Fan Show after this. You're listening to The Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's The Fan Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons. Like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com, or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now on the show, she's one of the sweetest voices and faces in all of NFL media, and she's there in Minneapolis, but she's one of Philly's own, Colleen Wolfe. Colleen, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I'm great right now that the Eagles are here.
Yeah, I don't think I could fly any higher than Eagles fans are this week, and that is the point of me wanting to get you on the show, because I know that this is huge for you. Like, what's the feeling been like? What's the mood? You're actually there for it, but everybody else back in Philly, how are they taking it?
Well, I don't know how everybody in Philly is taking it, but I know up here there's a ton of fans already here. And, you know, it's so interesting because the last time the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, they played the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of deja vu. But, you know, it's been so much fun because I spent the entire season talking about the Eagles and, you know, I'm a huge homer. So now I get to, like, still talk about them. And I feel like this is my victory parade all season.
Are you having a hard time keeping, like, any, you know, unbiased kind of feelings towards the Super Bowl, or are people pretty much prepared for you to go full Philly?
Oh, everyone's prepared for me to go full Philly, and that's fine. I kind of like just let them know that that's going to happen, and everybody knows what's up.
Fair enough. So, you were there for the championship game, right?
I was.
And at what point in that game did the crowd kind of start losing its minds? Like, oh my God, it's really happening. We're going to go back. We're going to play the Patriots. Because at that point, we knew who the AFC side of things was going to be. Now it was time to decide the NFC.
Right. It was so funny because it felt like normally in a game like that, like a blowout, people would sort of start to leave. But obviously it's the NFC Championship game. And that's, I think, one of the coolest experiences as a fan, almost more so than being at a Super Bowl, being at a championship game, because especially if you have home field advantage, that is something like I've never experienced anything like that in my life. So being in the home stadium and knowing that you're going to the Super Bowl and you're one win away from a Lombardi at that point, that is something like I've never experienced in my life. And it felt like, you know, obviously the first touchdown that Kyle Rudolph scored, it was a little, oh my God, oh no, this is going to happen again, brace yourselves. And then after that, it was like, oh my God, what happened to the Vikings defense? Like all season long, they've been so good. And we talked about them constantly. And I mean, I love the Vikings team. And so I talked about that defense, you know, since week one. I love them. And to see them give the performance that they did, it was just so uncharacteristic of them. And I just, everyone was a little in disbelief. I know I was sort of there until the very end of the game. I was like, oh God, I still feel like they can lose it somehow. And it was like during the ceremony, everyone's like, no, they won. Like, this is it.
We're here.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it like really didn't set in until I left the stadium. But yeah, you could just feel the energy at the link, and you know, everyone was just, you know, just on cloud nine. It was such a cool experience, and I'm so glad I was there for it.
Do you like the underdog persona that the team has adapted throughout the playoffs? Because Vikings had the magic, and apparently underdog is bigger and greater than magic, because that walk-off touchdown from Diggs, you know, you thought that was going to carry into the championship game, but it is the underdogs of Philadelphia. Is that something that you like, you don't like, you're indifferent about?
I mean, I like it. I feel like it's so perfect for the team. It's not something that someone outside of the team and outside of Philly kind of bestowed upon them. Mm-hmm. They did it themselves. So it was really organic, and it's also perfect because there's so many aspects of this that, yeah, they are the underdogs. And Doug Peterson, he's been an underdog his entire coaching career. And Nick Foles is a guy who almost retired, and now he's going to play in a Super Bowl. And there were so many things that happened this year where people counted the Eagles out, and now all of a sudden they find themselves here still alive in it. And it's just really incredible. And it's a tribute to the front office, to Howie Roseman, bringing in the players and building this roster to help them succeed and having the depth. So when one guy does go down, it doesn't completely fold the entire team and their chances.
Yeah, and I have really liked the underdog story too, and I don't think a team is going to be bigger underdogs going up against the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. than maybe, if it was somehow the Browns. But, Philly, I think, is a good story. It's definitely a feel-good story, but you guys have been so spoiled in Philly lately. You had the NFC Championship game. This last weekend you had the Royal Rumble, if you're a wrestling fan, and now you guys are going to the Super Bowl. What's to stop Philly from full-on burning itself down, win or lose?
Oh, nothing. I mean, that's going to happen regardless. The city is about to fold in on itself, and we saw that after the championship game with everyone climbing the poles that were at Crisco all over them. Nobody can stop what is about to happen in that city, which is why I'm partly glad I'm in Minnesota and Minneapolis and not Philly right now.
So you'll have your own celebration. You'll get there once the dust has settled to see if any buildings are left standing.
Exactly, yeah.
So one thing I wanted to get your thoughts on being physically at the Super Bowl in Minneapolis. One, it's cold, but I've always been sort of beating the drum of, hey, why not have a Super Bowl in like Green Bay? I mean, it's called Titletown, and so why not have the title game in Titletown? Does this open the door for a colder city Super Bowl like a Pittsburgh or Green Bay, or is it only because of the shiny new stadium?
No, I think because when they had the Super Bowl in New York, the temperatures for that could have been way worse than they actually were. So I think that, yeah, of course it opens the door and the possibilities are endless, but I think it probably is a little bit easier logistically if it's not. I think a place like New Orleans is amazing, or so I've heard. I've actually never been there, but I'm like dying to go, and so I'm like constantly like, New Orleans, yes, I want to go there. So I'm like, yeah, let's have a Super Bowl there. But I love the fact that it's here. I've never been here, and I don't know anybody here, so I don't know when I would have a chance to come here. So it's a great way to get to know the different places and the different markets, the different fan bases, and this is a great one.
Are people having fun despite the cool temperatures and the snow everywhere?
Of course. Everybody finds a way no matter what. This is a resilient bunch,
All right, well, my last question for you. I don't know how much of the Pro Bowl or the Skills Challenge you watched, but kick-tack-toe, how far are we away from having that settle overtimes in the NFL?
That is a great idea, and I wish that we were not far away from that because that would really be awesome. This is a great point. I think that you should write Roger and let him know about this, and let's get it going. Maybe we can put something on change.org. I mean, who knows where this will go?
I mean, because you can, it doesn't have to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's kicker versus kicker. And if you've got a good one, obviously, then you feel confident about it. But I think it would obviously make a lot of teams rethink their signing of kickers that have failed elsewhere or keeping certain guys on the roster. I mean, this would be very entertaining, and it would only take a few minutes to do.
Yeah, no, this is a perfect way to settle any ties. I don't want any more ties or anything in the NFL. I hate that. And I think that you've found the solution. You've stumbled upon it. Roger Goodell should have been asked about this today, and I'm mad that I wasn't there to ask him. We should have done this interview earlier.
Well, now you can if you get another chance because you're there, I'm not. So on behalf of me, you have my permission to be like, hey, Roger, like kick-tack-toe, let's implement that to settle overtimes. I mean, come on. It's right there for you. It sells itself.
I'm on it.
All right, well, will this be a revenge game for Philly?
Hopefully. I'm actually on our show tomorrow. We have T.O. coming on. So I'll talk to him a little bit about the last time the Eagles faced the Patriots. And hopefully the outcome is a little bit different this time around.
The last time I saw T.O. was my first ever professional football game in Seattle. He was signing a football after he scored a touchdown. So I'm very much for T.O. in the Hall of Fame. So have fun with that. Have fun with the Super Bowl. I'm so jealous, but I'm also very grateful that I could have you on the show, so I won't keep you. You've got stuff to go do, but thank you so very much, Colleen Wolfe.
Of course, anytime.
All right, well, enjoy it. Hopefully parts of Philly are still left standing after the big one. I'm rooting for you guys, all right? Go and finish the unforgettable underdog story.
All right, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye.
And once again, that was the lovely and talented Colleen Wolfe. Always a pleasure to have her on the show, and she is native of Philly, so it felt important to get someone of her stature on to talk about just what this means for the city. I think it means a lot, win or lose. You like to say win, lose, or draw, but there will be no draw I don't know how much people are giving Philly in this. I know that they're the underdogs. Obviously, any team that probably goes up against the Patriots, not named the New York Giants, in a Super Bowl is probably the underdog. But I don't know. I don't want this to be a write-off Super Bowl. One that you knew it and you tuned in anyway, and then it was everything that you expected. I mean, last year, yeah, we were spoiled with that just crazy comeback. The first 3 quarters of the game, though, I wasn't overly impressed with. So, if anything, hopefully we can have 4 solid quarters of really good football and entertainment. Justin Timberlake for the halftime show. We'll do our final predictions and everything else tomorrow night on the Fan Show for the first episode of February, the last one of the week. I know it's a heartbreaking fact when I say that each and every week, but never fear, more Fan Show is here, and we've got the other 11 months of 2018. So don't forget, follow me, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and Snapchat. Snapchat and Instagram are both the Fan Show. Facebook and Twitter are at Fan Show Official. I have been nominated for an award here in Spokane. There's links to that all over the place. You can go and vote for the Fan Show in the category of media. I should probably retweet that and reshare that and repost that on Instagram. Nonetheless, though, I do appreciate all those of you that have voted for me. It's truly a humbling feeling and an honor, and I haven't even won, and I don't know if I will. So we'll see. February 15th is when I get those results. I will be there to see if I get to accept an award or not. Otherwise, it was just, like I said, it was great to be nominated. So we got that to look forward to. Don't forget, even though fantasy season is over, you can still get your fantasy needs met for next year. If you need a prize, I suggest a championship belt from the good guys at Undisputed Belts. They do amazing work. So you're not a champion unless you're undisputed. Go to undisputedbelts.com. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. All are at Undisputed Belts. They do a bang-up job. You can choose from a white or black leather for the belt, and then from a gold or silver plate. And all you have to do is send them images, and they'll engrave them for you. You can have your own unique special belt for your occasion from UndisputedBelts.com. And the tour starts next month. Visit thefanshow.com, your home base for all things football and nonsense. I want to thank you all again so much for listening. January, best month we've ever had, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. So you guys obviously have it down, but just in case, you can catch me live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on Spreaker.com or thefanshow.com. And then if you can't listen live, listen to the podcast. iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. There's replays available on WBLZ Sports. So there's so many ways that you can listen to the Fan Show. There's no reason to miss it, and clearly a lot of people aren't. So thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. That'll do it for me here from Fan Cave Studios. Until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's blood? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.